Hey babes, today we are going to be talking about the Ordinary High Coverage Concealer. Now this dropped a while ago and it is very, very affordable. I got my tube at cultbeauty.co.uk for about £4.50. I think that works out to about $6 USD on other sites. Now the prices do vary a little bit on different platforms because of the exchange rate. Cultbeauty lists their prices in pounds, so I bought mine for £4.50. If you're buying it off Lookfantastic.com.sg, it is $9, and I think it's on Beautybay for $9.50 as well. The thing to consider, obviously, for something that is this affordable is how much shipping are you going to pay internationally. Now, I would obviously suggest that you go with a site that offers free shipping for international customers above a certain purchase, which is Cultbeauty, and Lookfantastic also has free international shipping above a certain amount as well. The only difference being that Cultbeauty ships really fast compared to Lookfantastic, which could take, close to a month for a product to get to you. Now, just looking at the Ordinary's website, there are at least about 36 shades in 3 different undertones, so that is great. You will be able to find a likely match for yourself, whether you have yellow, whether you have pink, or you have neutral undertones. Now, I have purchased the shade 2.0 Neutral, and I think it works out pretty well for me. So if you use me as a shade reference and you want a concealer that is going to brighten up the under eye a little bit, go for 2.0. Now, if you are my shade match and you want to look for a shade that you can use to do a little bit of pinpoint concealing of marks and redness, you may want to go 2.1. Now I'm just quickly looking at the official claims. This has a high spreadability suspension system that offers very high coverage with a real skin finish. It has a thin nozzle applicator, so you can squeeze out just the right amount you want and you're far less likely to overuse or waste product. The Ordinary also promises that this is a formula which allows high pigment content to look natural on the skin, and it resists collecting in fine lines. So that is what we're going to be testing out today. Now, first impressions, the coverage level is definitely there, but it's also creamy enough that if you want to sheer it out and have just a veil of coverage, you can just use a tiny dot and then just blend it out. It blends very well. It's not overly shiny like some concealers look when you have a very high fat or wax content. So texture-wise, it seems to be a very, very nice in-between where it's semi-matte, it's quite natural looking, and it gives what I consider a clean skin finish. Now, one last important note, this does dry down and lock onto your skin pretty quickly, so you don't have forever to blend and blend and blend. If you have dry skin, just make sure you have some moisturizer or a creamy base or a smoothing primer on your skin before this goes on. It will glide a little bit better and give you more time to smooth and blend it out before it really locks down. For oilier skin though, I think this is going to be great because it has really strong self-setting properties. As for the wrinkle crinkle test, I'd have to say this one held up surprisingly well for being so lightweight. It does not promise to be, transfer proof or really budge resistant, but it has stayed on very well without a lot of noticeable creasing, even with the way that I was scrunching up my face earlier. Now, a quick reminder, if you like to set your under eye concealer with a lot of powder, that is going to make it a little bit more crease prone sometimes. So a little bit of powder for most cream or liquid products makes it less crease prone, but if you overdo it, it becomes more crease prone again. Hope that makes sense. So with this one, I think if you do just the tiniest amount with a soft brush, like this one, and you just tap the tiniest amount of powder right up to where your face creases naturally, you shouldn't have too much of a problem with very noticeable cracks and creases throughout the day. If you're going to be using a blender and then caking on the powder, then I would say, expect a few more lines because it's just not avoidable with that much powder. So guys, it is now 5:30 p.m. and I have been wearing this concealer for 6 hours now. I could go a little bit longer, but I was out and about. I've done all the sweating, and I think most of the oil that's going to come out has already come out because it's a pretty warm day. So I'm going to zoom you in and let you see how the concealer has done. This has done amazingly well under the eyes because I'm not even seeing much creasing now. I did do a crinkle wrinkle test earlier when it was freshly applied, so I'm going to do that again now. So as you can see, even with the sweating and hours of heat, it hasn't really wrinkled or creased around my laugh lines, which is probably the first that I've seen in the past year or so of testing different concealers. Now I'm blotting away a little bit of sweat and shine here, and I did have a little bit of concealer around my nostrils earlier, so I don't see much transfer on the tissue. Doesn't look like too much of it has come off. Of course, I think visually I can see that some of the coverage has faded a little around this area. It's not particularly hydrating, so it's not like it's moisturizing my under eye area the way that the IT Cosmetics concealers do, but I think the reason that it's sitting so well around the under eye area is because it is so light and so thin for the amount of pigmentation that it has. So compared to, say, something like this or Tarte Shape Tape, which is also pretty thick, these have a certain denseness to it. It's like thick cream on your skin, versus this, which almost goes on like a cream to powder. So as you blend it out, it almost goes to zero texture on the surface of your skin. So there's not a lot of texture there to crease or to crack when you smile throughout the day, unless of course you were here applying 3-4 coats of the product. Now it does have a similar lightweight consistency to the Sephora Best Skin Ever concealer. However, the coverage level is much higher than this one, and I think it's also faded less throughout the day than I found with this one. Now it's not a perfect product. There is one problem that I encountered earlier today, and that was that this product does grab onto flaky areas. So if you have very dry area, or you have like a little crusty bit that's gone a little bit flaky, you do want to try and get most of the flakes off before applying this, because it will grab onto those flakes. This has a cream to powder texture which dries really quickly, so I was having some issues with it just, grabbing on and refusing to blend out in some of the driest zones, and I ended up having to take tweezers and just remove some of the flicks because I had a little bit of flakiness around my right nostril earlier this morning. Now that is a common problem for matte concealer, so it's not like this is the only product that does that. Just wanted to put it out there so you're aware. And that is it for this concealer review. I hope it was quick and precise and to the point. Now, in conclusion, I really like it and recommend it. I mean, I've not liked a concealer this much at this price point for as long as I can remember, basically. So I do think, for $6 USD thereabouts, it's really worth a shot. I'm actually thinking of picking up another color just so, I have a couple of shades to work around when my skin tone changes throughout the year. The only minor complaint is that the formula does set pretty quickly, which also is a plus point if you have sweaty or very oily skin. So if you have dry skin, all that means is that you should just prep your skin with a little bit more moisturizer before applying this. But otherwise, it sets beautifully, it performs beautifully, it has almost no texture on top of the skin, and I'm very happy with it. So anyway, if you guys have tried this, as always, let me know what you think of the product below, or if you're interested, let me know why as well. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.
Like I'm on my tiptoes, baby. You think a little too small. I got big goals, baby. Ain't where the money at. Look, I just need the info. Pronto, I go and get it, split it with my kinfolk daily, and I'm the type of